Hello, everyone. Kenny here, Basketball Rewind. Just a quick hitter here, and we're going to talk about the Raptors pick. I'm going to put some other content out there that's going to focus on each individual team, what I think. But right now, we're filming this in between the 2 days, so I'm going to wait until the entire draft settles out before I give like draft grades or anything like that. I'm joined by Coach Roach, one of the best, in my opinion, to be able to, really give me his opinion on like stuff. We were trying to get film study. We couldn't get the film into the canister today in time, but we both seen enough that we can kind of talk loosely about Collin Murray-Boyles, and that is the topic of the day. Coach, I want to also point out before, sorry, Coach, um, people, it's okay. I want to know what people's honest opinions are. I don't think people should be almost like, pick shaming, if you will. There's no pick shaming on this on this channel. Um, there are, I think, too many people that I do want to say though. I think that there are too many people that are giving Colin Murray-Boyles himself a little bit too much hate. I've heard of instances from the Raptors fan base, and I would say the same for any fan base. If your team picked a player, there is no reason for you to go to that player's social media and tell them basically to, call them expletives and tell them where to go. That's way out of pocket and wrong. So I'll just leave it at that. Coach, what was your initial thought? I mean, I do know what it was, but
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of Twitter does, but I
yeah.
I do try to come down with it a little bit and
Hmm.
say that my issue isn't with CMB. It's not.
Yep.
I've watched enough film. I've watched enough South Carolina. Gigi Jackson was on that team a few years ago, so I actually do tune into some South Carolina games this year. And I've watched Colin Murray-Boyles for a couple of years now because there was rumors that he was going to come out last year, and he didn't. I think it was a wise
Yep.
decision for him to go back to school, and he improved quite honestly.
I do think
Uh,
so too. Yeah.
but I think my initial reaction was shock to see all the other prospects that were on the board that were there for the Raptors. I mean, there were prospects there we didn't expect to be there. I don't think we expected Malwatch to be there. I think um, Cedric Coward or Senge. I think these were a couple other guys, maybe more so with Senge, that we weren't sure if they were going to be there, but there was a possibility that you're going to grab one of them.
Yeah.
And when you just look at the current makeup of this team, this is my biggest point to people with the current makeup of this team and the players that you have, because you have to play 5-on-5. I do have concerns over how this is going to look offensively. Defensively, I got really no concerns about him at all. He's probably got the best motor and defensive. He's one of the top defensive prospects in this draft. I'd say he might be top two or three. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I know some people say that he's the best. You could debate that. I would say Cooper Flag. I would take him over him, but he's definitely a top two or three prospect from a defensive standpoint, as you said. Um, my initial thoughts was like to your point. I think Beyond got to this type of thing as well. Like at some level, when you have all the choices in the world to make the pick that you want to make, which they did, then it kind of shows your hand. What are you trying to think about? And so this is an interesting one here because, on one hand, you'd say, well, this kind of tells you how they feel about the team. I do think that it does help to address things on the defensive end. I think that he can actually probably guard 1 through 4, especially watching the finals and how Indiana ran through how many DHOs. I lost count. Um, this is the type of guy that you want guarding those DHOs,
absolutely. Yeah.
right? This is the guy that you want also doing peel switches, into the mid post, switching between two different size prospects. And if you're gonna have someone front guarding who's a shorter player, this is the guy whose length that you want from a defensive standpoint. Um, have I messed up any at all so far?
No, I 100% agree with you. I like his versatility.
Yep.
I guess my biggest thing going into next year, because the expectations have gone up. We are not in rebuild mode anymore. When you went and got Brandon Ingram, that was a signal that we're looking to compete next year to some degree. and you want to try to make life for Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes as easy as you can by putting,
If this is the team that you believe in, then yes, you
if
should be
this is the
doing it.
team believe. I'm just going by what has been
Yeah,
signaled by the
yeah,
organization, right? Fair enough. But I want to try to make life for them easy next year, especially on the offensive end. And there's a couple of questions where I'm just like, you know what? There's a world in which this might get more difficult for them on the offensive end.
yeah.
I'm assuming you're not going to put the ninth pick in the G League. I wouldn't either. I'd keep him up. I'd
Uh,
use him.
you
I think
shouldn't
he does
be.
have a tremendous skill set in on defense. People will say, well, coach, this is about two-way versatility. You're right. Versatility means shooting the basketball as well, especially from deep. It's not. We know in the numbers at the rim how well he finishes. That's very good. I only think we finished around the rim that well this year, quite honestly. So
Yeah, I mean, even like RJ gets to the rim, he does not finish at the rim. Grady actually
no,
surprisingly gets to the rim as a driver at a decent rate, but also does not finish at the rim for different reasons. This guy, I think, even with his size, being a little bit smaller, based on the position that he will play, and we'll get to that in a second, he gets and finishes to the rim. As a driving player, he is probably going to be one of the best. Even in my opinion, this might be a hot take here. I think he will be a better driver than Scotty Barnes in his first year. He handles the ball better. He takes care of it better. He has a lot of the lengths. He goes at players and his footwork and stuff like that because he is very aware of his limitations and is not trying to be a more of a perimeter oriented player, at least initially. Although that does need improvement. I think in terms of driving the ball and not just in straight line drives, he might actually be a lot better than people are expecting. So from an offensive standpoint, it's going to be an interesting fit. I think. Um, I'm, I'm not going to dance around it. I think it's an awkward fit for sure. But I
it's
will
awkward.
just
Yeah,
say that he has no game. It's interesting. You look at guys like the Worm. You look at guys like Vanderbilt. If I were to compare him to them, just in terms of guys that are shorter that are going to be playing in the front court, I would say that he has a significantly higher offensive ceiling and even floor than those guys in terms of being able to create for himself as well as for others.
yeah. I think I'm not trying to belabor this
Yeah,
point, but the guys from CBS who cover the draft, Adam Finkelstein, Avery Johnson, I think it's Gary Parrish. These guys covered
yeah,
all year, and they've been talking about CMB. They're like, we like him, but I think what team he lands on matters in terms of what they need and what he needs. Right? People love to say, "Don't worry about fit. You draft best player available." Again,
yeah.
that's subjective, but I think it does get to a point where if I have 1 6'9" guy who has a particular skill set, why would I want 10 6'9" guys with that particular skill set? I can't win a basketball game with 9 Scottie Pippens out there.
No, and I think also there's a certain level of balance that you want to strike. You want, like, yes, the
Yeah,
best player available. If you have players within a certain tier, is he within that tier the best player? Is he really in a tier on his own? That's what I
yeah,
would want to know. I'm not going to get that answer, but is he in a tier on his own, or is he kind of standardized with other guys, and they just decide to pick this guy? Because that
yeah,
would make a difference. I
yeah.
think. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the defensive side. Like, that's not going to be a problem.
That's
Um,
no issue. No,
yeah, I mean, the way he blows stuff up. I mean, you could talk about his defense for
it
days, honestly. It's
it
the offensive side and how quickly he's able to. He has to not only hit in the mid range, but hit in the mid range. He has a very high release point, but hit in the mid range based on the fact that it's NBA players that he's now playing against.
Yeah, I remember we had this conversation with Tyler, and he said, "You know what?" He said, "I just think he thinks he can get a lot of his points at the rim. That's why he keeps doing it, and he has success at it."
Yeah.
True, right? I totally see that. That's not going to be the case in the NBA when you got legitimate 7 foot guys who are going to challenge you at the rim at 6'6", and it's hopefully it's something that he'll work on, and I suspect he will. He seems like he's probably the type who's a gym rat, great motor,
Yes.
you hope that those skills will develop, and you hope that the coaching staff will lead him in the right direction. I really do. I'm really hoping that this is going to work out, and I want to be proven wrong.
The Here's my concerns. Bobby mentioned what position does he play, and he mentioned he's going to be a four, a little bit of the three. Okay, well, no problems there. Then he mentioned the five.
Yeah.
And that's where I get a little bit concerned because he's 6'7", and I don't. I know that people are looking at someone. I talked to someone earlier today. They mentioned Alex Caruso guarding Nikola Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
This kid has not played. This is where I go with the old heads saying this kid has not played a single minute in the NBA. So to assume that he can guard Nikola Jokic before he's even guarded anyone, even though I think he's going to be one of the better defensive guys on this team, if not like potentially the best defensive guy on this team in short order, I do get a little bit concerned with that type of level of hype. I think you need to kind of pump the brakes on that, in my opinion. Yeah, I think I don't know. What did you think? First of all, I'm going to throw out another kind of comparison. But what did you think of my Vanderbilt with better creation upside?
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad player, honestly,
No,
either.
it's actually a good player. Yeah, that's the funny thing.
Yeah.
It just again like Vanderbilt, the swing skill is going to be that shot because at some point you get to the playoffs, those threes and those layups are going to be crunched out of you. So he's going to at least have to hit the mid range, and ideally for him, you're not expecting him to be the primary guy. If he does become a primary guy, that's incredible for his development. But I wouldn't expect that. I guess the other, I'm going to throw a couple more comparisons at you. Paul Millsap just keeps coming to mind. He was actually one of my favorite players. I think he played on the Nuggets for a little small bit, way back in the day, but I have to double check myself on that one.
One guy who kind of comes to mind for me, and it was a couple of years ago, we actually had this conversation how, boy, I don't know what the fit on this team looks like. Now, he went before Grady was selected. It was Jarace Walker.
Yes.
A little undersized, can defend multiple positions. Now, Jarace Walker developed a three-point shot. Took him a couple of years, but he developed one. So when I see that, that's kind of my hope for him is that he's able to do that. Because then you might have one of those interchangeable guys you could play 3-4 with on offense. It's going to be tough if he's honestly out there with Scotty and Pirtle. It's going to be extremely difficult because that's going to put so much pressure on Quickly and Ingram or Quickly and Grady or Quickly and RJ, whatever format that you have. It's going to be tough with the spacing because I always look at I'm another team. I'm scouting you guys. I have Scotty, I have CMB, and I have Pirtle all on the floor right now. What am I going to do? Well, I'm just gonna pack the paint and let you guys shoot until you start making it.
Jarace Walker is a good one. I think we talked about it briefly yesterday. I can't believe I forgot Jarace Walker. Yeah. So if we compare him directly to Jarace Walker, I would say he's better at handling the ball. Jarace has really improved, by the way, since.
Yep.
But like, he's much better than Jarace at handling the ball day one.
Can see that. Yep.
I think Jarace is longer, that's for sure, in terms of his actual like physical length and stuff like that. The other thing though with Jarace is I think in terms I have to double check, but I believe that CMB is a much better passer.
He's probably a better cutter too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean that's again he's going to get that question of like a Jarace Walker. Well, you're a little undersized, so how are you going to somewhat make up for it when it comes time where you're going to be forced to do things that you're not used to doing?
Right. So
that's
what lineups do you see him fitting in? Like to me, definitely backup for Scotty. That's the easiest one.
Yeah. It's going to be hard because we don't know what this team's going to look like come opening day. That's why I'm only speaking of this as the roster is currently constructed. That's with RJ, Quickly, Pirtle, all these guys. It's going to be. I could see him being on a line with maybe Scotty, of course, himself, quickly. Grady, Ochai. You gotta have as much shooting out there with those guys as you can, in my opinion. It's good. RJ maybe in some spots because RJ's pretty good catch and shoot, but he's not really one that's gonna pull up three, kind of like what Quickly and Grady's able to do.
To
Ochai's a
me,
good catch and shoot as well. So
yeah, to me, it's the people that pair best with him on this specific team are more than like I'm ignoring Brent Ingram,
oh,
just
my
for a second,
apologies. Yeah, I forgot
but
Ingram too. Go for it.
just because Ingram will pair well with most guys just by even necessity in some ways. Um, I think he pairs really well with Grady and Jacoby together. And if you can get some lineups with those guys in it, there's something interesting there. Now, to your point, you hit the nail on the head. There's moves that still have to be made. I think
Yeah.
I was talking to JD earlier. He made a good point. There's like 12 spots on our roster that are accounted for in terms of guaranteed guys that you're for sure going to be there, including
Yep.
this kid. That I don't expect like a guy like AJ Lawson to be here necessarily. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll
I
see.
don't
But
expect Castleton to be here.
I don't think Castleton's going to be here. So there's certain guys that it's like they might be here, but it's not guaranteed. I think that's a very fair thing to say. Is that like I don't know if X, Y, and Z player are going to be there, and because I don't know, there are still moves to be made. In terms of the second round, just to kind of switch gears, because I think we've done like a fairly comprehensive. I've also written about CMB. Like I said, I think I even said in my piece, I think I said something to the effect that it was a really good player. I was very positive, but I said it is not quite what I would say is Cinderella's slipper, but closer to OJ Simpson's glove, or yeah, in terms of a fit on this team. There's moves to be made to make it. One move is the second round. There's a lot of centers on the board. I know it's like 9 spots, but there's a lot of centers on the board.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts in terms of who's still there?
Well, there's 3 guys as of this recording that I think the top 3 you'd have to look at. Rasheer Fleming should be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke to someone today who said you guys maybe should have taken Rasheer Fleming over CMB, but that's his opinion. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. I think Rasheer, the processing from a basketball standpoint is not quite at CMB's level.
I'm guessing it's not. Yeah. The French kid, Stanford, Reynaud, Kalkbrenner, our guy Mouth of the North, who he likes. The problem is those first 3 guys might be the first 3 picks of the second round.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect, but I'm wondering if they're sticking to the theme. Are they looking for another prospect who high processing defensive wing big or defensive guard? That they might look at. It seems like there's always a little bit of a theme. Even last year, there was a bit of a theme on
right
defense in terms of what you saw from Shed and Mobo that was going into it, and Shamshi, what he might be able to become defensively. I kind of wonder if there's a little bit of that, or will they actually go for fit and say, boy, we need a backup center who might be able to space the floor a bit. Now, if you were to get Reynaud and CMB and you have a little bit of a bench, that's in my opinion, just saying for what it's worth,
you might have one of the better at
you
least
can sell it.
bench front courts in the league.
Yeah. Reynaud, there's not going to be there. Some team would be crazy if they did not take him at 39. But you'd be able to say, you know what? We might have something right now with Reynaud and CMB and Grady and Jacoby and Shed. Like, we get enough size there. There's enough versatility a little bit. So there is a way that you can say, you know what? Our bench can have some balance. Be careful about redundancy. We went through this before. It's not. I want to be clear, people. I'm not going at CMB. That's not the point. We've seen redundancy before, and I worry even about a bench being similarly redundant, and that could be a bit of an issue.
Now he won't be there, but one guy that would have fit really nicely is the Yang kid next to CMB.
Yeah. Well, I want to see a little bit more of him.
Yeah.
Just the speed. Because it sounds like Portland's like, we're going to put you in the G League from based on
Yeah.
what I heard them
I mean, they
speaking
have a
about.
lot of guys to play anyway, so yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and with Klingon and Aiton, I mean, they're going to be fine at center, but I guess we'll see about the second round. I like Jameer Watkins. I think he did well at his combine scrimmage. I like
Jo-
Nemhard.
Johnny Broom isn't.
Oh boy, we hey, Johnny Broom would have been a fine pick at 39 had 9 been a different pick. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, gotcha. Um, I'll throw just a couple names to you, and then we'll get out of here real quick. Um, you name some names. I'm gonna just name some names. I don't want to overlap with your names because obviously there's certain guys like Ryan and the other kid that I really like. Um, by the way, Drake Powell went high, so good for him. He was not projected to go there, and that was one that I think shocked me. But um, okay, so we'll start off with something a little easy. Are you in or out on the idea of like Tyrese Proctor?
In
Okay, Nemhard.
in
Yeah, I'm a little out on Nemhard just because of the size, but
I'm
other
in
than
because
that,
I could use a third string point guard.
fair enough, fair enough. I mean, I would just I feel like Tyrese Proctor can give you the point guard, and the height, but I would understand them going for Nemhard,
And the
um,
shooting.
which is interesting because the Pacers actually pick right before us.
Of course they do, right? Of course they do.
Rocco at all?
Oh, Zakarski.
Like, how bad do you need a big? I guess is it at that level?
We need one, but I don't know. Masai likes picking bigs too much, man. I know people will say. I know he picked Koloko and Pirtle a long time ago. I do
Some
get
of that's
that,
out of
but
necessity too. He just
yeah,
wants best player available. Like Pirtle was like the best and safest guy available at the time. So.
yeah. So I'll say I'm kind of out on Zakarski, but if we do, it's no big
Dink
deal.
Pate, is that at all an interest now or no? Just as a long term, you put him in the G League, you see what happens.
Hey, I'm throwing the ball up and I'm taking the bat and I'm swinging for the fence.
Yeah. So you're in on it. Okay, cool.
I'd be
Uh,
fine with it.
that's about it. I mean, I don't think that you actually need a big, and based on like their conversations. I mean, obviously, if Kalkbrenner somehow is there and makes it past 32, um, or vaccine, because even that, like, I don't know. There's a lot of places that I'm looking in terms of where these guys would go. I'm like, are they really going to take a center? I don't think it's guaranteed that they're going to take a center.
No, the other guy who I kind of like in the second round, and he can really shoot the basketball, is Kobe Brio to Kentucky. He's a senior. He's not like you have to go teach him how to shoot. I like that kid. I think he's like 6'6", 6'7". Um, I think that could be a swing pick as well. Might be maybe it's more of a stabilizing pick because he's kind of the opposite of CMB.
Yeah, yeah. I think I agree. I think having a little bit of a mismatch there in terms of skill sets would be nice.
Yeah,
Um, coming out of this draft, I don't want to draft another CMB. That would definitely make me worry.
Elijah
Um,
Martin's another guy too. People seem to be high on, and he can really defend. He played well, I think, for the University of Florida in the finals. So not that I don't like him. I like him, but I guess we'll
I'll,
see if he's there.
Also, I think Noah Penda is still out there if
He
they want to
is.
go in that direction, and yeah, it's not a bad pickup. But yeah, I mean, I think if they go with a big, again, I'm not partial to a big. I just want to get either. I actually want a bigger point guard. That's just me. Or a bigger like person who can handle the ball and stuff like that. That is not going to be oriented on the inside.
Well, I'll put it to you this way: in the second round, and as I think Tyler or someone mentioned to us, it's very much about it's agent driven almost. It's like,
Yes. Yeah.
no, don't draft me. I want to go here because it's my one chance.
Yeah, there's a lot more negotiation that goes on behind the scenes now.
If you're a center in the second round, what better place to come and potentially get some minutes? It's crazy. Yeah, you could play a ton in the G League preseason.
Yeah,
Like I was a center in this draft right now, and Pirtle's a starting center who is hurt a little bit. There's your golden opportunity, golden ticket.
You got that right.
You
Well, I think
Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory. You're Charlie with the golden ticket. You're a center man in the second round.
it really is. You do have a lot more options. We'll definitely see. I do want to cover the first round, but we'll do that later during the live.
Yep.
I'm hoping to get this out before the live, but I did want to get kind of like our like raw, unadulterated thoughts before getting out of here. And so yeah, that's about it. Folks, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for all the new subscribers. Thank you for anyone who is sharing our stuff out there. Really appreciate it. We're just hoping to keep growing, and we're going to be covering Summer League, at least for the Raptors squad. So I'll be doing a live after every single Summer League game. I can't say I'll have as much time in the fall, but we're not in the fall yet, so let's take it step by step. That being said, take care, people, and peace.